Hello, all, and welcome to this afternoon's beer review, which I am dubbing the kind of tired beer review. I didn't sleep too well last night, probably because I had several beers. And why did I have several beers? Well, there's a beer style I love, and of course, sour. And yeah, I couldn't help myself but drink half the sixer of this. I mean, it was certainly tasty and very sessionable. So this isn't one of the gifted ones. This is just something I've seen on the shelf at Whole Foods and I've been wanting to review for quite some time. It's from Anderson Valley. You can see from the bear there. And this is Tropical Hazy Sour Ale. Ale with passion fruit and guava. Now it says hazy, but it's not actually an IPA. It's a fruited sour. There, it's I'm not sure why they called it hazy, and you'll see why in a little bit. So 4.2 ABV, like most sours, very sessionable. And oh, I didn't notice this solar-powered brewery. Yeah, I didn't know you could get enough power off of solar in order to go and power, those big brewery units. Okay, yeah. So Anderson Valley Brewing Company. And yeah, let's just get straight to this. So why did they call this tropical hazy? I guess because that's the big thing now. And even if you aren't really in a brewery that specializes in IPAs, Anderson Valley is they're known for their sours, though they do some other ones. I really need to get around to reviewing their amber ale. But they release a lot of sours, and of course the American sour style. American sours being distinctly more sharp in flavor than traditional German Gozas and Berliner Weisses. Goza, Berliner. I'm gonna say it. Try to say it. It sounds more like a Russian accent, like I'm talking German and Russian. Berliner Weisse. Okay, yammered on enough here. Let's just go and pour this out. I'm going to be pouring it into the pint glass. Why? Because I already had it out. I used it earlier this morning for nitrogenated coffee. So, it's a hair darker than most of the Anderson Valley um, sours slash gozas, and it's fizzy to frothy white head. So, I'm going to go and hit that now. And yeah, you definitely smell the passion fruit and the guava there. Particularly the guava. It smells very much like overripe guava that's fallen off the tree. And that's sort of an overall note, but it is still really dominated by the kettle sour smell, a very sharp, bracing minerality, a sort of wheaten funkiness. And yes, it is hazy, but not overly more. It's like only. It's basically their sours, only unfiltered. And I would say though it is a shade darker than their gozas, which are remarkably pale beers, very very straw yellow. I probably didn't clean this glass. One of the things I noticed with my preliminary tasting last night was the head. There's a bit more head retention. This is a wider mouth glass. It's also one that I used earlier today, so probably didn't dry out completely. But yeah, so basically you got sort of your Anderson Valley sour without that coriander note and without that coriander note in the nose, and replaced more by tropical fruit. Onto the palate now, shall we? Mm. Long finish of funkiness and a touch of minerality. Very refreshing. Biting carbonation. The sour comes on somewhat slowly, but then is pretty intense in the mids and into the finish. It tapers out in the long finish, leaving that sort of funkiness. There's a brief moment in the front to mids, excuse me, in the front to mids, where the fruitiness is on the palate, but it's more of a top note. It doesn't have as strong a minerality as some of the other Anderson Valley beers. I'm guessing because there isn't the addition of salt. You know, it's fruited sour. It's not a goza. So overall, you're left with a refreshing sour. It's a fruited sour, but the sour definitely comes first. You know, you're definitely getting a sense of the wheat malts used in making this because of the funkiness, as well as the kettle sour process with its minerality and kind of sweet tarts note. So, though the sweet tart note is kind of minimized in this one, I find you get the fruit there, slight, very slight on the palate, more in the nose and in the top note. And I should note this is not baby's first sour. This one is pretty sour. It's just I'm kind of used to sour and pepper notes by that way. I'm starting to realize I like blasting my taste buds away sometimes. Overall, fairly enjoyable. You know, kind of run out of things to say about this. I guess I'll just wrap it up by saying I'm not sure why they decided to call this tropical hazy sour ale. I mean, yes, it is got some tropical notes. Yes, it is hazy. Um, but it seems like people associate that tropical and haziness with a certain level of hopping, and this is, not an IPA. It's it's a sour. There's no really detectable hopping. So I'm thinking, with this kind of labeling, people who don't know better might get a little bit confused and think it's like a sour IPA at least. And it's not. It's basically what Anderson Valley sort of specializes in, which is refreshing kettle soured ales. I mean, it's good for what it is, but by putting hazy on it, and there's just a sort of association with IPA notes, bigness and a touch of bitterness. I liked it. If you like sours, give it a shot. You can't really go wrong with Anderson Valley sours. Um, yeah. And that, folks, is your beer review for this Friday afternoon. Cheers.